Hi everybody, this is Kim coming back in with another episode of The Shy. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, thumbs up the video. Let's get it started. So start off with Emmett and Keisha at a house party. You know, they getting their little dancing on, and you know, she dancing on Emmett, you know, but she noticed he's watching some other chick. So she instantly get mad and asks him, hey, this what you want? And he's like, no, you know. It pulls Keisha into a bedroom and they start kissing and everything. All of a sudden, Emmett's son pops up. He's in the playpen, sleep, but he wakes up and start crying. So Keisha instantly get mad, like, you know, this ain't me, this ain't me. So she walks out the room. He go behind, he grab the baby, and he go chasing her. And she basically tell him, leave me alone. Brandon is at work, you know, sitting in the back. I guess he's thinking up some recipes or whatever. And his co-worker come in and start talking to him and like, you know, you all right and everything. And he say, you know, yeah, I'm fine. And you know, I'm just trying to deal with, you know, what's going on. I said Brandon gets really quiet. And he asks him, you know, what's wrong? You know, what's wrong? Turn to him and say, you know, I think I know who killed my brother. And his friend is like, you know, for real? And he said, yeah, I think I know. His friend says, do you have a piece, a gun? And he was like, you know, no, man, I don't want to kill nobody. And his friend is like, you need a gun. And Brandon don't say nothing. And his friend tell him, you know, whatever you want to do, I got your back. I got you. Ronnie and him and Tracy. I originally thought her name was Janet, but her name is actually Tracy. Now they're back at home and, you know, they're sitting chilling and he asked her, is that Jason's stuff? And she said, yeah. And this is everything that he had on, but his phone is missing. You know, I really wanted the phone for the pictures. So then she goes through the wallet and she hands Ronnie a picture of Jason and herself. And next thing you know, they kind of hold hands and start kissing and hugging or whatever, and they start making love. Ronnie is happy because this is what he wants. He wants Tracy back. Now it goes to Brandon. Now he's at home and he walks in and Jerica is in the bed. And she asks him, you know, where have you been? And he says, you know, I've been with Louise, which is his co-worker. And she was like, you know, I've been up all night waiting on you. He said, oh, okay, you know, I was just hanging with Louise for a little while and everything. And she, you know, throws the cover back and was like, I even put on this. And, you know, it's her lingerie. He tell her, you know, I actually went to the spot where Coogie got killed at. And she just kind of grabbed him and say, you know, I'm sorry. Now it's back to Ronnie and Tracy, and he's telling her, you know, last night was good, and she kind of kissed him on the cheek or whatever. And she's telling him, you know, why don't you, you know, go get some ribeyes and, you know, something really nice I'll cook tonight. And Ronnie is looking kind of like confused. Not really confused, but he don't have no job. He don't have any money. And here it is, he wants to impress her because he wants her back. So he just kind of agreeing. She like, you know, don't forget get some wine too. So Kevin, Papa, and Jake, and they're walking to school. And Jake is talking about how some guy named Trace paid him $100 to watch his G-Wagon. And Papa asks him, well, you know, he been talking about the killing, the murder that happened on the block. And Papa is like, what'd he say about it? Jake says, my brother Reg was there for it, and he don't have to check Trace social. So now Papa want to know, okay, well then what your brother say about it? Jake tell him he didn't say nothing. And, you know, I'm not going to ask basically what I need to ask him for. Kevin stopped him and say, you know, we ain't going to ask nobody nothing or say anything, you know, because if anything go down, they after me. They coming for me. Now the detectives is walking out of the police station and they trying to basically compare notes and figure out what happened. You know, we got Jason dead and we got Coogie dead outside of the stash house. But the lieutenant or whatever, the head detective, will not tell Detective Cruz what Wallace have going on in the stash house. She won't say. So he just kind of wondering, you know, what's really going on. You know, why are they not telling me everything? Now Brandon is at his mother's house because they're gonna clean up the house, you know, try to get rid of, you know, go through Coogie's stuff. And he's beating on the door and Laverne's not there. So the guy that comes out and let him know, you know, Laverne ain't here and it's a leak in the basement. You know, she needs to fix it and I'm not paying her no rent until she fix it. So then he said, well, if she ain't there, she's down the street at Tony's, some bar. So Brandon goes down there and he sees his mother and I guess her boyfriend. They sit down there drinking or whatever. And Brandon is like, Mama, you know, I thought we were going to clean the house. And she was like, I don't feel like it. You know, I don't want to. I changed my mind. And she handed him the keys. And the boyfriend says something, and him and Brandon exchange words and everything. And Brandon is pissed because he couldn't come to her boyfriend didn't come to the funeral. And he said, I don't do funerals. Funerals is depressing. And Brandon just kind of shake his head and like they basically stand up after they have some words. They stand up and they get ready to fight. And the mother is like, you know, I'm tired of this. You know, you get out of here and you do this. Here, take the keys and you just go do it. So he take the keys and he basically leave. Now Detective Wallace is asking Detective Cruz, you know, are we gonna have a problem with this? Because if so, you know, you can ask off this case. But Detective Cruz is like, you know, what you got going on in that stash house? And he was basically saying, you know, it's the gang task force and you don't need to be worried about that. So to me, it seems like Detective Wallace is going to do whatever it takes so his case isn't messed up. He's on the task force, whereas Detective Cruz is on the homicide side of things. And so he's telling him, you know, no, what you got going on ain't gonna mess up what I got going on in that stash house, and I'm not gonna let it. You know, so to me, he gonna cover up. If the two don't come together, to me it seems like he's gonna cover up so it has nothing to do with whatever is going on in the house. And I'm wondering if Jason was either caught up doing something. Remember, he's all state. He's an athlete. And all of a sudden now you hanging at this stash house. You either was trying to become a gang member or you a good kid that got caught doing something bad, and now you got to work with the police in order to cover up what you did bad or what you did wrong. So I'm thinking that's what's going on with what happened to Jason. Maybe they found out that Jason was a snitch. Maybe they found out he was working with the police and that's why he got killed. I just can't see how a good kid all of a sudden just start, I don't know. Okay, now it's back on Ronnie, and Ronnie is at his mother's house, and Jada, she's the nurse, and she's telling Ronnie, you know, your mother is basically out of control. She don't want to take her medicine. She threw a pamper at my head, and she's saying that I'm stealing from her. You know, if she can't follow the program, then I'm gonna have to request that she be put in a nursing home. Ronnie don't want that. And then the mother comes up and says, are y'all done talking about me? So Ronnie, so Jada don't forget to take your vitamins, basically. And she basically say, I'm fine with my one a day. So Jada looks at Ronnie and he just kind of say, you know, basically, I got him. So then Ronnie goes in the house to talk to his mother, and she basically saying, you know, the nurse is stealing from me. You know, I had a lasagna earlier today, and I don't know where it's at. I think she stole it. Ronnie finds it. It's still in the microwave. So he tells her, you know, if you don't get it together, then they gonna probably put you in a home, and I know you don't want to do that. So when Ronnie found the lasagna in the microwave, and the grandmother, I thought that was his mother's house, but that's actually his grandmother. When he takes the lasagna out, and she like, oh, okay, go ahead, go on, be on her side. And he was like, and then she said, I see how you look at her. No, grandmama, she's just here to help you, Now Ronnie goes into the bedroom, and the grandmother is like, what you into in there? And he's saying, I'm getting my dress shirt. And she's like, what you getting your dress clothes for? And he was like, well, I'm going to Tracy's for dinner. And the grandmama say, oh, she must got diamonds in the pussy because you always trying to get some. So the grandmother let him know, that girl is stringing you along. She don't want you. She's just stringing you along. And Ronnie tell her, no, it ain't like that. She need me right now. Grandmother said, well, you better not go over there empty-handed. So Detective Cruz is back at the little corner store just looking around. He was looking at the file with Coogie, just trying to figure things out. Now Emmett is getting himself prepared to, I guess go to the post office to mail off some shoes that he sold online. And his mother has his baby. So she's playing with the baby, giving the baby Cheerios and everything. And he's like, okay, y'all have a good day. And she was like, wait a minute, hold up. Where are you going? And he was like, I got to mail this stuff and then I got to go to work. And she was like, I wasn't playing when I said babysitting is in my rearview mirror. Come get your baby. So he's like, you're not going to help me out? And she was like, no, next time pull out. Brandon is at work prepping for the evening shift. And Sarah comes in and tell him that I think Louise or one of the other person is late, and she's supposed to put on a private party for a client. And she said, well, since he's late, would you like to pick up some extra shifts, some extra hours? And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I do. Kevin and Papa is at school walking down the hallways, and Andrea's cousin approached them, and she must be the bully of the school because clearly everybody's scared of her, at least they are. And she doing, y'all talking about my cousin? You better not be talking about my cousin, because she can't be no freak, because we Jehovah Witnesses. She grabbed him up and pushed him into the wall and just tell him, you can't be talking about my cousin. Now, Emmett got his baby and he headed to work. Soon as he hop and go into work, Sony tell him, hey, you late and this ain't no daycare. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have nobody to watch him. I was thinking we could just put him in your office. I was thinking we could put him in your office. And he was like, no, you can't do that. I'm going to give you the day off so you can get your stuff together. And Emma tell him, no, I can't have the day off. I need this money. I need to work. And he was like, no, you need to figure out what you're going to do with your baby, your son. We can't have him here. So as he was getting ready to leave, a guy in the back, new character, his name is Q. Q say, hey, come here. And so Emmett goes back there and he was like, I see you trying, I'm going to basically help you out a little bit. Here go $100. And so Emmett is kind of looking at him like, kind of hesitant to take the money. And Sonny is in the back looking like he really wanted, he tried to stop Emmett from even going back there. And he was basically telling him, no, he all right, he's cool. But Q was like, no, basically be quiet, I got this or whatever. And so he offers him the $100. And he was like, here, go get yourself a babysitter. And Emmett takes the money and was like, I could pay you back. And Q say, it ain't no rush. Don't, it's no hurry. As Emmett and Sony walks away, Sony tells Emmett, you shouldn't have never did that. You shouldn't have took that money. And he was like, why? He was like, is that your brother? And he was like, yeah, but you shouldn't have took that money. It's too late now. So you better do what he said. Go on down the street to Miss Tiny's daycare. Ronnie and his friends is walking out of a store and he's talking to them about how Tracy's supposed to be cooking this meal for him tonight that he's supposed to get, but he don't have the money for it, you know. So they suggesting that he go to a payday loan, and the other friend says, well, you know, it's called a payday loan because you got to have a job in order to get it. So then the other friend says, well, I'm wondering, how did you get back up in that anyway? And so the other friend was like, yeah, because he took care of things for her. And so Ronnie stops and says, you know, what that's supposed to mean? And so the friend said, well, man, you know, we heard things. You know, we heard things, but you ain't got to worry about us. You know, everything's all right. Don't worry about us. So then the other friend asks him, well, hey, you know, what happened to that piece that you had last week? You know, Mildred always looking for stuff. You know, he always looking for pieces, you know, maybe you could get some money like that. And Ronnie turn around and say, you know, what piece? What you talking about? And he was like, well, you know, man, I'm just saying. Him is at Miss Tiny's house, the daycare lady. And he knocks on the door, whatever, and she comes to the door like, you know, do I know you? And he basically said, no, you know, Sony said that you can help me. You know, I need somebody that's going to take care of my baby. She said, so you just gonna hand your baby over to a stranger, huh? And he was like, you know, I just need help. I just need somebody who's going to take care of my baby the same way his mother would. And she was like, well, baby, you know, I'm full today, you know. And he goes into it again, trying to convince her, basically trying to beg her. And she was like, you know, save your charm. I'm booked. You know, I could put you on my waiting list, but it's going to be 2 months, depending on the days you need. And he was like, 2 months? And she was like, yeah, I got a lot of men in the same situation you is, and you know, with their kids up in here. And so now he's at the park and he's got the baby in the he got the baby in the swing. He ain't even pushing the baby. He's trying to get back in touch with, you know, the girl, and she ain't answering her phone. And you know, he's just, you can tell he's at his end. He's at his breaking point where he don't know what to do. You know, and he was like, you know, you didn't even ask me if I want this baby. You didn't even ask her if she wanted the baby. He hops the baby is still in the swing, and he hops the fence and go across the street as if he's finna leave the baby because the baby won't stop crying. He's about to lose his job. His mother won't help him. And old girl just left the baby, and he can't get in touch with her. So he's basically at his breaking point, and he don't know what to do. He feel like he need help. Then once Emmett realized what he did and the fact that he left the baby at the park, you know, he finally runs back across the street, pick up the baby, and just grab him and hold him and say he love him and he'll never leave him. Detective Cruz is at the location where Jason was killed, and he see a couple of guys do some transactions or whatever, but he don't bust them or anything because he's just there to try to see what goes on in this area. So he hops out and just kind of look around, and then he goes to the fence where Coogie normally feed that dog, and he see the dog is at the fence just standing there, you know. So he kneels down and he kind of, you know, touch the dog or whatever. He look up and he see a watch out looking down at him. So now Brandon is sitting at home looking at some old pictures of Coogie when he was a little kid, and you know, he's basically kind of crying, and Jerica comes through the door. She noticed that he's looking at the pictures, and she says, you know, I'm worried about you. You know, I need to know that you're not going to do anything. And he basically don't say anything, and she say, you know, I just don't want you to do, you know, no hood stuff. And he say, you know, I'm not. She basically forced him to say that, and he says he's not, and he just missed his brother. Now Q is at the alderman's place of business, Alderman Martinez. And they go to the back, and he hand him this shell, which is supposed to be toxic. You know, if you get bit by it, you only got so many minutes before you die. So the alderman puts it down, and he tell him, you know, Q asks him what do you know about, you know, the killing, you know, Jason, this kid Jason? You know, what happened? And he was like, well, you know, I really don't know anything. So Q basically tell him, you know, put the word out. I want to know what happened. I think Q is Jason's father. Even though Ronnie was the one that was there for Jason because he was with Tracy, but I think Q is Jason's father. So we already see how this is going. Well, at least I think I see how it's going. So I'm thinking Q and Trace is probably going to be beefing, because the way Q comes off is if he's somebody big as well. He got some connections, because when he pulled that $100 out to give to Emmett, it was many more behind that one. So, you know, so far the two big drug dealers, or I'm not sure where Reg fall in this, but so far the big people in this, the big drug dealers, might be Trace, Reg, and now Q. So we're gonna see how this circle falls. Are they gonna be beefing with each other? Do Trace and Reggie work together? You know, is Trace the big man and Reggie working up under him? Or Q? Or is everybody working for Q? Who knows? Kevin is on his way home, and you know, he's just walking, minding his own business, strolling on home. And Ronnie is across the street watching him. Next thing you know, he was like, hey, yo. Kevin instantly take off running. Ronnie chasing him. Just hollering, hey, I just want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you. Kevin ain't going for it. He's still running. He loses run. Well, Ronnie basically give up because he's tired. So then, you know, Kevin just started walking again. Now, Andrea's cousin sees Kevin, and she's like, hey, Kevin. He instantly run again because he don't want no parts of her. So he's running. Maisha tripped him, and she said, I just want to apologize, you know, for talking down to you. It wasn't Christian of me. And she asked him, you know, you like my hair? And he just kind of nods or whatever. And she was like, you know, maybe we should do this more often. After she apologized, she licked him on the face and tell him, don't tell nobody. Maybe next time we could do a little more. So now Detective Cruz goes to Brandon's job to ask him, you know, was Coogie into anything? You know, was Coogie in any gangs or anything? And, you know, Brandon instantly pop off because of the way that he came to him, almost like you trying to blame my brother for something. And of course the police, the Detective Cruz apologized, and he was like, you know, no, you know, basically Coogie was just a kooky kid, a goofy kid. And then the detective go on and talk about how Coogie told him to buy some Timberlands, and he went out and bought them. And so Brandon is like, you know, is that all you came here for, is to tell me you bought some new shoes? And as he looked back, he noticed that Detective Wallace is watching the whole thing. Brandon goes back into the building, the restaurant, and Detective Cruz go to talk to Detective Wallace. And Detective Wallace is like, is that the kid's brother? And he was like, what do this have to do with you? Detective Cruz tell him, you know, Coogie didn't kill that kid. And he was like, it don't matter. They eventually kill each other, and then we'll file the paperwork that needs to be filed. Kevin is at home doing his homework, and there's a knock at the door. He grabs the bat and he slowly goes to the door, and when he opened the door, he noticed it's Brandon. So Brandon is like, you know, what you doing? What's going on? Why you need a bat? And that's when he tell him that the guy who killed your brother chased me home. And he was like, you know, the only reason why I told you who did this is because I thought you was gonna handle that. I thought you was gonna kill. Mother comes to the door and say, Kevin, who is this? And Brandon basically tell her, you know, I'm just returning his bet. After that, Ronnie goes to Meldrick's house to sell the gun. and he wanted $300 for it, but Mildred gave him $200 for it. And then then it goes to Brandon at his mother's house, and he noticed Laverne is asleep in Coogie's room. You know, she's still trying to cope with the fact that her son is dead. The next scene, it shows Detective Cruz asks Ronnie, what do he know about the murder? And he basically says nothing. And Detective Cruz tells him that Coogie didn't kill his son. You know, Coogie wasn't the killer. And basically, that's how it ends. I had to hurry up and do this because something is going on with my camera. So I had to kind of speed through the end. But don't forget to subscribe, comment, thumbs up the video. I see you in the next one. Peace.